Alright, let's find this createElement method. Where could it be? Well, firstly, let's access our console. Here we go, and let's just make this a full-size page. And let's try and find it. Let me zoom in here so you can see a bit better. Well, firstly, let me start with the most obvious solution. If we just try and access our window object and we open up this window object, you can already see if we sort alphabetically, there is no createElement method. So we know it's not on the window object, and this kind of makes sense. We already know when we access this method createElement, we started at the document object. So let's now look at the document object. I just want to console dir the window document. So there's our document object represented in JSON-like format. Just FYI, we didn't have to access the window in order to access the document. By default, all global objects or methods are available without using the keyword window. So we actually could have just gone console dir document. That's just a bit of FYI. If we open up this document and we try and look for the createElement method, you'll notice here we cannot find it, can we? It's nowhere to be seen. And a quick thing we can do is we can go Control F and we can just try and find it at the bottom by typing in createElement. And it's nowhere to be found. We cannot find it. So that's quite interesting. So now it's not on the window object, it's not on the document object. Well, where is it? We're going to have to start looking at inheritance, and in order to do that, we can look at the document's prototype, aka we can look at where its most immediate parent is. So if you open up our document object and we scroll right to the bottom, you'll see that we have its prototype being this HTML document. And if we open that prototype, the HTML document object, again, we can see that the createElement method is not here. So let's scroll to its prototype, the HTML element prototype. And here we get to another one called document, but this time a capital D. We went through this in detail in part 1 of this course. But anyway, let's open up that object. And the good news is, if we scroll down here, and there it is, my dear students, the createElement method. So my point about inheritance is this. When the parser comes across our createElement method on the document object, the small d, I may add, it's not there. The parser has to then work its way up the prototype chain, and eventually it's going to find this createElement method on the grandparent of the document object, this big D document object. And this is how inheritance works. The document object inherits the createElement method from the big D document object. Woohoo! Isn't that awesome? I hope you're having fun. I hope you're learning a lot in this course. Seriously, some of these things are very advanced, but we're only just getting started. And we started with a very simple example. We looked at the document object within the DOM. And we followed that all the way up in order to find where one of its methods come from. And we found that it was on its grandparent. I can prove that to you by going document. We can look at its prototype, which is that HTML. Remember that document? And we can look at its prototype. And that should be the big D, the document. And we know in that big D, in this document object, that was where the method came from. So this was a very specific example, a very simple one, but I now want to step away from the document object in the DOM, and I want to look at a specific node object within the DOM. And I want to follow that node object's hierarchy up the prototype chain so we can better understand the DOM. It's going to be very, very interesting. So I'll see you in the next lecture, and let's start looking now at node hierarchies.